In the days leading up to the storm, life in the Northeast moved along with a familiar rhythm. The air was crisp, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Commuters hurried along icy sidewalks, bundled in scarves and hats, while shoppers navigated crowded streets, their arms full of groceries and holiday packages. The city hummed with its usual energy, and the routines of daily life continued uninterrupted, as if winter's chill was just another part of the season's backdrop. Families bundled up their children for school, scraping frost from windshields and exchanging quick goodbyes before heading off to work or errands. In suburban neighborhoods, kids laughed as they crunched through patches of old snow, and parents chatted on driveways, unaware that their conversations would soon shift from weekend plans to survival strategies. On television screens and radios, weather forecasts began to hint at a possible storm. Meteorologists pointed to swirling patterns on their maps, but the predictions were inconsistent. Some called for a few inches, others warned of something more. Most people shrugged it off, accustomed to winter warnings that rarely lived up to the hype. The idea of a historic blizzard seemed far-fetched, almost impossible. But as the week wore on, a sense of unease began to grow among weather experts. In the quiet hum of weather centers, meteorologists pored over new data, watching as the storm system over the Atlantic gathered strength. The term bomb cyclone started to circulate, a phrase that signaled a rapidly intensifying storm, the kind that could bring chaos to even the most prepared cities. Suddenly the tone of the warnings changed. What had been a distant possibility was now an urgent threat. Emergency alerts flashed across television screens and phones, urging residents to prepare for the worst. The region's collective attention shifted, and the reality of what was coming began to sink in. Panic set in almost overnight. Grocery stores, once quiet, were now packed with anxious shoppers. People rushed to fill their carts with essentials: bread, milk, batteries, bottled water, and anything that might help them weather the storm. Checkout lines snaked through aisles, and shelves emptied faster than employees could restock them. Snow shovels, bags of salt, and winter supplies disappeared from store shelves. The scramble for last-minute necessities became a shared experience, a sign that the region was bracing for something extraordinary. Across the region, anxiety grew. Parents checked school closure alerts, wondering if their children would be safe at home. Commuters studied train and bus schedules, worried about how they would get home if the storm hit during rush hour. Offices buzzed with talk of early dismissals and emergency plans. By Friday night, the city's usual buzz faded into an eerie calm. Streets that had been busy all day emptied as people retreated indoors, heeding the warnings. Families gathered by windows, watching as the first flakes began to fall, the world outside growing quieter with each passing hour. The wind picked up, howling through alleyways and rattling windows. Tree branches swayed violently, and the sky turned a flat, ominous gray, signaling that the storm was no longer a distant threat. It was here. The entire Northeast seemed to hold its breath. From city apartments to rural farmhouses, people waited, bracing for a storm that would soon transform everything they knew. The anticipation was electric, a mix of fear and awe at the power of nature. Inside homes, conversations turned to preparation and worry. Neighbors checked in on each other, sharing updates and offering reassurances. The sense of anticipation was palpable. Everyone could feel that something historic was about to unfold, something that would test the region's resilience. As the first snowflakes drifted down and the city lights blurred behind a curtain of white, the region stood on the edge of an event that would be remembered for generations. A blizzard that would leave its mark on history and on every life it touched. The storm began innocently enough, with delicate snowflakes swirling and dancing in the glow of the streetlights. At first, it seemed almost peaceful. A quiet winter night, the city bathed in a soft, white shimmer. People peered out their windows, watching the gentle flakes drift down, unaware of the chaos that was about to unfold. But as the hours ticked by, the snow began to fall faster and thicker. The wind picked up, howling through alleyways and rattling window panes. Visibility dropped to near zero, and the city's familiar landmarks faded behind a curtain of white. Streets that were once bustling became deserted, as travel quickly became impossible and the city ground to a halt. This was no ordinary winter storm. It was a true blizzard, relentless snow driven sideways by hurricane-force gusts, creating blinding whiteout conditions. The storm's fury was unyielding, and the city was at its mercy. Snowfall rates soared to 3 or even 4 inches per hour. Cars, sidewalks, and entire streets vanished beneath a thick, ever-deepening blanket of snow. Within a short time, the city's infrastructure was overwhelmed, and plows struggled to keep up. The wind roared like a freight train, shaking homes and bending trees to its will. Snow drifted and piled up against buildings, forming massive, sculpted drifts that blocked doors and windows. The relentless gusts made even stepping outside a dangerous challenge. Along the coast, the situation was even more dire. Icy waves crashed over seawalls, flooding streets and eroding beaches. The combination of snow, wind, and water created a hazardous mix, threatening homes and businesses near the shoreline. By dawn, the world outside was unrecognizable. Cars had vanished beneath towering drifts, roads disappeared entirely, and the city's usual hum was replaced by an eerie, profound silence. The storm had transformed the familiar into something alien and surreal. In the aftermath, the landscape was both breathtaking and daunting. Sparkling snow blanketed everything, turning the city into a winter wonderland. But beneath the beauty lay immense challenges. People struggled to walk through waist-deep snow, and pathways were blocked at every turn. Emergency services faced a monumental task. Ambulances and fire trucks crawled through the snow, often getting stuck themselves. Downed power lines and damaged infrastructure left neighborhoods in the dark and cold, adding to the sense of crisis. As the first phase of the storm ended, residents emerged to survey the damage. The true impact was only beginning to emerge. Roofs sagged under the weight of snow, and the city faced days, if not weeks, of recovery. The Northeast awoke to a landscape utterly transformed and paralyzed by the nor'easter's wrath, a stark reminder of nature's power and unpredictability. As skies cleared, the scale of the snowfall became clear. This was a record-shattering event. Towns accustomed to winter were stunned by totals measured in feet, not inches. Cars and landmarks vanished beneath drifts. First-floor windows were buried. Emergency services faced monumental challenges. Roads impassable, roofs strained under the weight. In many places, all-time snowfall records were obliterated. The storm's slow movement allowed it to dump relentless moisture, creating mind-boggling accumulations. Highways closed, airports shut down, and public transit halted. Life ground to a halt. People were trapped in their homes, unable to open doors against towering drifts. The pristine white blanket outside concealed a logistical nightmare. The region was entombed in a deep freeze, facing the daunting task of digging out. This blizzard became the new benchmark for winter storms. Rhode Island and Connecticut found themselves at the very heart of the blizzard's fury, battered by the storm's most intense and relentless snow bands. As the system stalled overhead, the snow seemed endless, blanketing the region hour after hour, transforming familiar streets into a frozen, alien landscape. Residents watched in disbelief as the world outside their windows vanished beneath a curtain of white, the wind howling and visibility dropping to near zero. Providence, Rhode Island, bore the brunt of the storm, shattering records with its largest single-day snowfall ever recorded, nearly 3 feet. The city ground to a halt as snowdrifts swallowed cars, sidewalks, and entire blocks. Emergency vehicles struggled to navigate the impassable streets, and residents were left stranded, unable to leave their homes for days. Across Connecticut, small towns and cities alike were buried under more than 2 feet of snow, with some communities reporting even higher totals. The relentless accumulation overwhelmed local resources, and the sheer weight of the snow threatened roofs and power lines, adding to the danger. Road crews worked around the clock, but the snow fell faster than they could clear it. Highways quickly became impassable, littered with abandoned vehicles and stranded motorists. Eventually, authorities had no choice but to close major routes, turning highways into silent snowbound parking lots. In neighborhoods across both states, fences, cars, and even entire yards vanished beneath towering drifts. Residents peered out at a world transformed, where familiar landmarks were erased and the only sound was the muffled hush of falling snow. Daily life came to a standstill. Businesses shuttered their doors, schools closed for days on end, and strict travel bans were put in place to keep people safe. Streets that once bustled with activity now stood empty, silent, except for the wind and the distant rumble of snowplows. The challenge wasn't just clearing the roads, it was finding somewhere to put all the snow. Massive snow farms sprang up on the outskirts of towns, where mountains of snow were hauled and dumped by heavy machinery, creating temporary landmarks that would linger for weeks. Yet, amid the hardship, the storm brought out the best in people. Neighbors banded together, shoveling driveways, checking on the elderly and sharing food and supplies. Acts of kindness and community spirit became as common as the snowflakes falling from the sky. Entire communities found themselves isolated, cut off from the outside world by walls of snow. But in that isolation, bonds were strengthened, and people discovered new ways to support one another, turning adversity into unity. In the aftermath, stories of survival, resilience, and neighborly heroism spread quickly. Families gathered by candlelight during power outages, sharing memories and forging new ones, while communities came together to dig out and rebuild. The blizzard of 2026 left an indelible mark on Rhode Island and Connecticut, a siege that tested their strength, but also revealed their spirit. For generations to come, the memories of this historic storm will live on in local folklore, a testament to endurance and community in the face of nature's might. New York City, the city that never sleeps, was forced into stillness by the blizzard. Over 1.5 feet of snow blanketed Central Park, halting the city's relentless pace. On Long Island, hurricane-force winds and heavy snow created massive drifts and near-zero visibility. Emergency measures were swift travel bans, transit shutdowns, and a rare citywide pause. Residents hunkered down as the storm raged, isolated in their neighborhoods. In the aftermath, New Yorkers emerged to a transformed city, quiet, white, and surreal. Children sledded in parks, while cleanup crews faced the monumental task of clearing streets. The beauty of the snow quickly gave way to the reality of recovery. Thawing out the Big Apple would take days of hard work. New Jersey took a direct hit, with coastal counties under blizzard warnings and inland cities buried in heavy snow. Shore towns braced for flooding and erosion, while Camden and suburbs struggled with impassable roads. A state of emergency and commercial vehicle bans kept highways clear for plows and emergency crews. Residents woke to neighborhoods buried, launching a massive cleanup effort. Clearing narrow city streets and restoring transit posed unique challenges. The state's resilience shone as communities worked together to recover. New Jersey faced the storm head-on, digging out one shovelful at a time. The storm's winds and heavy snow crippled the power grid, plunging over 650,000 homes and businesses into darkness. Downed trees and snapped lines left many without heat as temperatures plummeted. Emergency shelters opened for those unable to stay in freezing homes. Utility crews from across the country worked around the clock, battling deep snow and hazardous conditions. Restoring power was slow and dangerous, with priority given to hospitals and critical infrastructure. Days after the storm, many remained in the dark, highlighting our dependence on electricity. The crisis underscored the vulnerability of infrastructure in extreme weather. Patience and perseverance defined the restoration effort. The power outage became a defining hardship of the blizzard's aftermath. As the storm cleared, the great dig-out began. Millions armed with shovels and snowblowers faced mountains of snow. Front doors were blocked, cars entombed, and sidewalks vanished. The cleanup was slow and exhausting, especially in cities where snow removal created towering piles. Community spirit flourished as neighbors helped each other, sharing tools and checking on the vulnerable. Strangers became teammates, united by the challenge of reclaiming their streets. Municipalities worked to clear main roads and haul away snow, a process that would take weeks. Businesses struggled to reopen, and daily life slowly resumed. The dig-out was about more than snow, it was about restoring normalcy. The storm tested the region's resolve but also revealed its strength. Recovery was underway, one cleared path at a time. As recovery began, new forecasts warned of another winter system approaching. Even a few inches of snow or freezing rain could hamper cleanup and add stress to already burdened roofs. Utility crews raced to restore power before the next round of weather. Residents were urged to stay vigilant, clear walkways, and check emergency supplies. The blizzard of 2026 was historic, but winter wasn't over. The region faced a marathon, not a sprint. Preparedness remained crucial. Stay informed, stay safe, and support your community. Together, the Northeast would weather whatever came next.